success stories told by the people who lived them.
We're going to have some guests on this show that everybody knows, and we're going to have guests on this show that nobody knows yet.
One by one, Nick Hyder is adding hits to the hit streak.
Blessings, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Hit Streak. I am your man, Nick Hyder. And folks, I've got a double dose of awesome hanging out with me in the Hit Lab today. And I've known one of these cats for the better part of 2 decades now, I guess. And the other one, I had the pleasure of meeting at a mutual friend's birthday party, I think in 2017. They are the husband and wife duo. Actually, it's somebody that my wife and I look up to a lot, and how you guys build your life. Their story's absolutely incredible. Both of them are senior mortgage loan originators at Walton Funding. I got Grant Martin and Summer Martin in the building. How we doing, fellas?
We're doing great. We appreciate you having us very much. It's been a real privilege to be behind the mic in the times that I have been by myself. It's been a privilege to be behind the mic, to watch Summer be behind the mic by herself, but it's a real privilege to be behind the mic with each other for the first time. So we are very grateful for you to have us out and get to share a little bit of experience with adults instead of constantly having to tell our children or not tell our clients what it is that we need to vent about in that particular day. So thank you very much for having us. We really appreciate it.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. This is so exciting. We're really excited just to, again, like Grant said, be here together, share a little bit more about not just what we do in business, but what we do behind the scenes and what our personal life kind of looks like.
We're batting 1,000, baby.
Boom.
We're batting 1,000. Well, I meant everything that I said, guys. You guys are your business is kicking tail. You guys are always involved in the community. We see out all the time. You guys, between the two of you, you have 7 children ranging from ages. What is it? From
20 to 4.
20 to 4. You look like that. I'm blown away. It's unbelievable that, like, I know if I was dealing with what you guys were dealing with, my hair wouldn't look like this. It wouldn't be as put together. Like, I'm amazed. And it's a great story. I'm really excited to tell that story a little bit today. But guys, I got to address the elephant in the room. Kids ranging from 20 to 4. There's 7 of them. All right. Your business is kicking butt. You're doing all this in the community. Like, Grant, how in the world are you guys managing this with so much grace? I mean, it looks like you're having a blast doing it.
Well, you said it. It is grace. We have to have grace with each other constantly. Summer grace with me more than I with her. But yeah, I mean, it's a challenge, and it's a challenge we both signed up for. And she had 3, I had 3, and then we had a we. And in a lot of ways, he became our mascot. The blended family mascot.
That's right.
The older kids rallied around him big time. And so, the babies and the younger ones obviously have more challenges of their own in certain ways, as do the 19, 20, 16, 14, 9, and 4. And the 2 dogs, by the way. So that was Summer's unilateral initiative. I was sold on that. I love those dogs. They're very pretty dogs. They're chewers. They really like our doors and our furniture and our backyard. But we do work hard. Summer doesn't even drink caffeine, which is
hold on.
That's the most marvelous thing I've ever seen in my life. It's a freak of nature.
Holy cow! And she's a heck of a cook, from what I understand.
She is the most ridiculous cook that I have ever seen in my life, and just does it on her own. Like, I mean, obviously she references receipts and whatnot, but she can cook like nobody else can. I would prefer her to cook over any restaurant that I can name. So yeah, that helps quite a bit.
Summer, when the night that I met you, it was downtown at our buddy Chris's birthday party. Mm-hmm. And you guys were working together at the time, right?
Yes.
So, but I remember when I met you, you were just this really pretty girl in the corner that just had a big old smile that you could feel from a mile away. And you were the only girl there. This was a guy's party. She fit right in. But do you remember you told me something? I was talking to you at that table, and I was asking some personal questions about you and everything. You said, my eyes are on Grant. Do you remember that? Y'all were together not that long after that, but you told me I'm focused on him.
Oh, how funny. No, I don't even remember that, but it makes sense because here we are.
Is that the way it went? That's kind of the way it went, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
So, how long did you guys, before you became a thing, Summer, how long had you guys been working together? And tell me how that came out. Like, it only took me, my game's so strong, it only took me like 6 years to get my first date with my bride. So how did that work for you guys?
It was an interesting dynamic because we were at the same company, working out of the same office, but we were in two totally different lines of business. I was more doing, construction lending, home equity lines, and like smaller commercial real estate projects. And he was doing strictly mortgages at that time, residential mortgages. And so we kind of, we saw each other, we knew who the other person was, but we didn't have a lot of business together at that time. That started, 2009, was when we first started working together in that capacity. And then, I saw that he was not chained to the desk in the banker kind of general, workflow, the way that, the structure generally goes. When you work for a bank, you're in the office, you're sitting there, you've got, it's just a totally different type of work. And I saw he was coming and going and doing lunches and coffees and marketing things and all this fun stuff. And I'm like, well, I want to do what that guy does. I want to be over there. And so I actually went to work for him in 2015. And I joined his mortgage team with, I think there were a couple other people at that time that were already on his team. So I kind of joined the ranks there. And by that time, I'd already been through a divorce. I was, on my own. And I was kind of doing on my own path and got my career going there. And then, as things kind of evolved, I want to say it was maybe 2018, I guess, when Grant was, also divorced at that time. There was I won't forget it because there was an event that we had coming up. It was like a nicer, it was a charity event. It was a nice thing. And he had invited me to go. And I called my friend and I'm like, do you think am I going as his employee or am I going as his date? She was like, you better play to win. You're going as his date.
That's great advice.
So,
who's that friend that told you that?
The best woman on the planet. Her name is Heather. She was my next door neighbor for a really, really long time. She went through a lot of ups and downs with me, and she was a big fan of the Grant and Summer
Dude,
team.
One of the questions I'm going to ask you guys when we're done here is I always get the guest to help me title the show. It's important. Mm-hmm. And like that one thing, play to win, that's like, if you summarize what I believe in outside of my faith, that's it. You got it. Life's an offensive sport, not a defensive sport. So that was awesome. Grant, when I remember, just the guys talking, it was like, and it may have been whenever, I'd have to go back and look when Chris's birthday was. We were down there. It could have been 18, maybe it was even 19. I'm not sure, but it was in that whole time was a blur because everything happened so fast. But I can remember, when you guys were thinking about it a little bit. And dude, like, does anything ever get to you? Like, does he feel pressure? I've never seen him stressed out. Like, it was like, man, I mean, there's a great girl over there. She, what do you think? He was like, hey, man, it almost like play to win is what you said type thing. So how was the experience like for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, she touched on it in terms of the work.
Were you asking her as a +1 or as an employee?
I've never asked. That's good. Let's find out.
Yeah, I mean, there may have been a little +1 in there. It's always good to show up to a thing with a good looking date.
No doubt.
I certainly showed up with the best looking date. And so little ego flex in there never hurts a man. But I mean the professionalism. I mean, even a couple hours ago, we had a discussion and about, okay, we've got to figure out the professional aspect of this and how this relates to our personal. And, that's a very important firewall in our life to figure out and to maintain. We have to stay systematic. But also we have to be aware of each other's personal feelings, even beyond the work front, because, you know, it is important for me to be gentle about how I present something, because I'm presenting it to my wife. And not that doesn't have the importance with other employees and whatnot, but, you know, higher stakes.
That's right.
So but rather than be afraid of that, and rather than be afraid of screwing it up and messing that dynamic up, saying, oh, we don't want to work together because we want to, we do. We play to win. That's right. We walk in faith in that, and we say, you know, this is what we're going to do, because I do know you. You are my wife. I mean, we kind of know each other, and I know what you're good at, and you're good at this. You're good at nurturing our clients. You're good at nurturing the vendors and the partners that we work with. You're good at the numbers, and we can take that, and I know that you can take that and add value to our business. But the personal crossover is something that I was definitely apprehensive of that from the beginning. But I mean, you know, look at those eyes. What can you do with that?
That's right.
You got to play to win.
That's right. Well, and I know you've been winning your entire life, as you played baseball for two former guests, both Coach Jeff Forehand, who's at Lipscomb University now, and the great Dave Jarvis, who's still at Belmont. His episode came out not long ago, and you're in the Belmont University Athletic Hall of Fame, which is a big deal, a very big deal. True or false? These records still stand. You left as the all-time hits and doubles leader, and you also led the team in average 3 out of 4 years. But are those records still standing today? Do you know?
I think somebody took those records out back and stomped on them and possibly smashed them since then with a mallet or a sledgehammer. I really don't know where they continue to rank on the list. I mean, you know, like with anything. I mean, I was looking up, talking about Coach Forehand, who's at Lipscomb University. And Caitlin Clark just broke Pete Maravich's record. I mean, I used to idolize Pete Maravich.
That's right.
And watch him. I was like, man, that dude. And then Caitlin Clark, I'm watching Caitlin Clark. He's an incredible athlete. But then you look at their records and you look at their points. Well, Pete Maravich didn't have the three-pointer. Well, you look at Caitlin Clark and what she accomplished. Well, you go right down the street to Lipscomb University, said Lipscomb University, and you got two guys that have like 500 or 600 more points than Caitlin Clark did.
Yeah.
John Pierce and Philip Hutchison.
Yeah.
So, you know, records are so relative. I was really honored to have those at the time, but I also look at the guys that came before me whose records I broke, and I'm like, okay, well, I played more games. Yeah. Or, you know, okay, well, yeah, they played NIA and I played D1. Well, okay, Grant played D1 too, but then these guys were playing postseason. So there's just a lot of relativity to any record. And, you know, while I was proud of those, and certainly what the respect of the guys whose records I broke, I also understood where I ranked.
You know, you guys said something in the beginning, before you said play to win, actually, where you basically said, you know, like, we chose our life. You know what I mean? So you're not making excuses for anything. You're not using the fact that you have 7 kids as a crutch to lean on to fall short and somewhere else. One of the great things that we love to say around here a lot is that was originally said by Roy Vaden, is he says you're most uniquely positioned, and you're most uniquely and powerfully positioned to serve the person that you used to be. Right? Sound a lot like y'all's business, doesn't it? Right? So you guys are literally helping in the mortgage industry, help families, much like you, go through things that you already went through, get in the dream home that they need, or the home with a certain amount of bedrooms. You know what I mean? Are you guys a 2-car family or a 1-car family? Do they make a bus?
I pretty much drive a bus.
You drive a bus?
It's an Expedition Max, because, I mean, it's a lot. You know, and then even so, we can load that puppy up, and then we got to put something on the back for all the backpacks and luggage and whatever else. So it's a lot. It's a full car.
We're a 2-car family. We used to be a 3-car family, but somebody let their kid drive it and wreck it. But we kept the kid. We got rid of the car, so now we only have 2 cars.
Got it.
1 truck and one bus-ish looking.
It's a cool bus.
It's a cool bus, not
That's
a school
right.
bus. A cool bus. That's good. Did you just come up with that?
I unintentionally, I did.
That was good.
I love it. I love it.
I want to thank all of our loyal fans that spread across all 50 states and 14 different countries. It's absolutely amazing. Folks, help us keep spreading the word, right? Share your favorite episodes with friends and make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the Hitstreak on all digital platforms. Thanks again, and we look forward to more.
So, obviously I can't think of anybody better when you're looking to get into your dream home to work with, especially if you're a family and a growing family and whatnot, to work with somebody that's already walked the walk, paved the path, done all those things. So is that who you guys find the most joy probably in helping it, that just because you see yourselves in them?
Yeah, I think from the perspective of the buyer, mortgages are boring. They're just the numbers and they're the means to an end, but they're also very complex and very scary. Mm-hmm. And if you think about the majority of the transactions we do, the buyer might be putting 10, 20, 3, 15% down. I mean, on a rare occasion when somebody says they're putting 50% down, we're going, wow, why do you even need us? Mm-hmm. But yet we're still, by and large, we are the largest investor as the mortgage lender in that transaction. Mm. And so we get the mortgage lender most often gets the blame for what goes well and gets none of the credit for when it goes right. Mm. So it's a very, very important. It's to me, why I like it is because it is important. Mm. It is critical to the entire transaction. If you don't have money, it's very difficult to buy things.
Right.
If you've ever gone into the store and you forgot your wallet, they will turn you right around and you got to walk out. And so that pressure is, again, it's a big opportunity to be very impactful. So, when Summer came into our business, one, she was very good at the more complex tax returns, more complex financial situations, the higher level type of people who had 400-page tax returns, guys that just sold their plane and that's what they're using for the down payment. I mean, these are actual events. And her ability to digest the numbers and digest that level of complexity, but to distill it down into the empathy that it took to articulate the complexities and what it took for that borrower to buy in to what it is that she needed, because she was the captain now. Mm. She was going to run the show. And I had few people work for me over the years that had that level of grace, but also had that level of empathy. Sometimes that empathy gets really, really annoying because I'm going, you gotta just be tougher. And she's like, yeah. Oh, you're right. And then she turns around and tells them the way to do it the right way. Mm. And in a way that they'll hear, because a lot of times what I tell her to do in our meetings,
yeah,
she's like, yeah. And then she'll turn around and tell them how to do it in a way that she understands it. So they'll hear and actually act on it. So, yes, our that's her heart for those people. And it was mine too. She just brings it across a little, how would you say, softer, more respectfully?
It's a more gentle touch, maybe.
Be more gentle.
My wife deals with we have so many insurance clients. And she's extremely likable, and I'm not, So everybody loves. If they call the business line and I'm who pick up, it's almost like you hear that.
I can relate.
That's right.
That's basically what I just said, except said another way.
That's right.
That's exactly right.
That's right. So everybody serves their own purpose, but the Summer, it's just, I couldn't think of a better compliment, that he gave you on that, but it's the truth, right? What is it that gets you the most excited to help these people to do that? Because obviously you're feeling some emotions that maybe are wasted on him and I.
I think, I've had a few people, especially lately, it's kind of funny, it's been a little bit of a theme. As mortgages get a little more complicated, even for, your best borrower dynamic you could imagine, your best buyer type situation, strong credit, good down payment, all these things, even in a perfect scenario, mortgages are just complicated right now. That's just the world in which we live. And I think, for me, when I am dealing with these people, and I'm able to bring, laughter into these transactions, some joy into these transactions. Yes, I'm asking you for literally every piece of paper that you could possibly ever imagine, but I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna give the delivery. I'm gonna try to make it, still a joyful process as much as I can. Mm-hmm. And so even when I'm delivering tough news or not what we were hoping to hear, I'm doing that with, different, in a way that I know, because I get to know these people. It feels to me after I take that first phone call, or Grant takes that first phone call, and we hear their story, like I'm invested at that point, and I know he is as well. And I don't know. I just kind of change how I deal with them based on, this is what's important to them. If they mention 5 times that they got to have their kids in this school. So, then I feel motivated. It's like, we've got to do this for them. We've got to find a way to make it happen. And that's where, his knowledge and his expertise and his experience, because, he got into the industry, 15 years before I did. And I can call him or, turn to him and say, they gotta get here. And I've looked at all the numbers, because that, like you said, that's generally my wheelhouse, as I came from that world of where, it was mostly doing a lot of tax return and dissecting and finding income. If we need to find that income, I will find it if it's there. And so, but I take that and I'm like, these are my numbers. What can I do? What can we do? What can we offer them? Because this is their goal. And so that's where it's been really nice to have that dynamic. And I feel like that helps us then present things to them. And we get invested with them. I
love that. So instead of saying, here's what you can't do, you explain to them, here's what you can do. And I'm going to explain to you how, and the steps and the timeline and all that kind of stuff. That's so valuable. I hate being told no. I hate being told no.
Same.
But if somebody says no, but
right,
if we do this, this, and this in this amount of time, and we can get this done, then we can make that happen. So a lot of times it's a no up front, especially in this, but there's a way. You just got to, it's not set up and positioned properly right now, but we can do that together, right, with a little bit of time.
Well, and the home is such an axis for people's lives. Like she mentioned, the school zones. This is your shelter. This is sort of a basic need. And, you're dealing with people's kids. You're dealing with people's money. You're dealing with people's homes. You're dealing with the axis around which their entire life revolves. So it's a high pressure situation, but, she does it very, very gracefully. And it's beautiful to watch on a lot of levels.
I love it. Well, again, I mentioned before how you guys, you made the comment that the statement that, we chose what we're doing right now and everything that we're going through. And I think that's so important in today's times, because there's so much blame being placed on others for something that's not going well in your life. And what I figured out a few years ago during all the COVID stuff is everybody became the victim of COVID, whether with work and whatnot. But some people became survivors of COVID, and a victim and a survivor look very similar. It's literally, they're the same person, and it's how they handled the situation and the outcome, right?
Yeah.
And the easiest way to become a survivor versus a victim is, instead of pointing your finger this way, you turn it and face it. And because I tell my son all the time, dude, the moment it's somebody else's fault, you gave up control to fix it. But if it's your fault, you can solve that problem.
Right.
You want everything to be your fault. You know what I mean? So again, 7 kids, a bus ain't cheap. A house with the bedrooms to let everybody sleep ain't cheap, which means you have to have a certain level of success to thrive like you're thriving. That's the point I'm making, folks, is when you're picking the people to handle these very sensitive situations in your life that are pivotal to the success of your family, who better to work with than somebody that's dealing with the family on that scale and doing it with such grace and whatnot. Honestly, it's one of the greatest compliments I could give anybody. Well, you know what I mean?
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a breath of fresh air.
Well, we're moving into the realm of working on investment properties and commercial properties and development loans. To take that, because again, other people have those same needs. We're not the only people in the world with kids and lots of complicated schedules and whatnot. And, now with rates being higher, and it gave us an opportunity and a cause for pause in our career trajectory to say, what else can we be doing to add value to these people's lives and to our community. and to our clients. And so, now we're doing it on the commercial front and the investment property front to allow them opportunities to invest, make more money, and, collateralize their assets that they gain to, make more money for themselves and their families to thrive also. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of another newer pivot that we've been doing professionally as well on the mortgage front. Anyway.
Absolutely. I was given a keynote, and one of the things that we were talking about is that, I'm big on faith being the foundation and center of everything. And, faith shows you hope. And what we found out too is that when you are like the gifts that God gives us are in the struggle, right? Because, and literally it says in the Bible that, basically the struggle and the conflict you go through is so that you can be resounded by joy when you see it. You know what I mean? So there wouldn't be light without dark and so on and so forth. So, again, it's awesome when we saw you guys in everybody's favorite Mexican restaurant next door. Y'all's table takes up half the restaurant. You know what I'm saying?
And we didn't even have everybody with us that night.
That was a half squad.
Right.
That's right. And just getting everybody there on time. You got kids that are grown. You got kids that are driving. You got kids that have to still be, is everybody potty trained? Not everybody's potty trained at my house yet. I'm still working on it. And then we're training our 2-year-old.
They're potty trained. Yeah.
They are. Yes.
That's a fun process.
Well, again, it's just fantastic. So, talk to me a little bit. So, I want to know a little bit how you guys structure everything. So, like you mentioned in the calendar and the color coordination, we got some gold nuggets for some people on how to get the most out of their same 24-hour day that we all get. You know what I mean? Because again, you guys look amazing. And we'll talk skincare in a minute because I got some questions on that as well. But like, how are you guys able to stay so organized? Because again, you look at the reviews online and you guys are killing it. You're getting it done in the business front, and all your kids are thriving as well. So how do you stay so organized, Summer?
Every day is I prepare for every single day. I know exactly what's coming from day to day. And of course, the beauty in that is that you can't know what's coming from day to day, really. But I try. The big things I know. I know that I'm going to wake up at 5:15 after I've hit snooze 3 times to make sure. I like to, no caffeine. So that's my little spot.
I got to talk about that too. That's crazy.
Where I'm like, I need to slowly get there. So I snooze for 2 minutes max, up to 4 times. And then with an end of 5:15, and then I'm up. But I know that every day I'm going to do that. Every day I'm going to, prepare the breakfast kind of almost on the go as we're walking out. I know I'm taking this kid, this kid, this kid, and this kid, and they're off. And then I come back, I work, and then I know that I've got to pick up at this round. I'm probably going to have multiple rounds because, we've got multiple sports. We've got baseball, we've got competitive cheer, we've got dance, we've got so much going on. So everybody, I get their schedules a month or 2 out. And like you mentioned, everybody gets a color. It goes into my calendar. It goes on there. And, that's the start. That's how we run it.
I got it. Has anybody, so like the other day, our son went to youth group and we dropped him off and he had a ride home with one of the other kids, right? Well, one of the other kids, obviously my son's in 8th grade. This kid was in high school. So the kid that was supposed to bring him took off with another friend. It's what high school kids do from time to time, right? So my son called us up. He's sitting in church with no ride home, right? So has that ever happened to you guys? Anybody ever been stressed?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
How many times this week?
Oh, my goodness. So many times. And that's, we run into that a lot. I manage a lot of carpools as well because when I realized, okay, we live 7.8 miles away from the school where 2 of the kids are going who are the busiest. And on our way to those schools, the other 3 are going. So about 5 miles to those. And it's like, okay, when that stuff happens, thank goodness we have backup carpools. There's actually an app and it's called Carpool Kids. And it's awesome. And you can create, you invite moms or dads, both. You create your kids. Every kid gets a profile. And then we have multiple carpools. So that happens a lot. And I'll, start my Rolodex call wheel and I'm like, oh boy, okay, Emma's stuck. Her friend left. It was a ride. Who's still there? What mom's still there? And, odds are good. Somebody in one of the various carpools is still around. If not, worst case, I send Grant because I'm sticking to my routine.
Worst case. My contribution to this is I go down in the basement, turn off my phone and blame it on AT&T. No.
Oh man,
she does a fantastic job, and it once again it's pretty magical to watch. It's kind of like, again, going back to sports. I mean, when if you're playing defensive football and the other team goes into the offense goes into the huddle on the other team, that's kind of bedtime. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden they start to roll out, and they're coming to the line and everybody's just checking who you got, you got this guy, you got this
oh yeah,
he's going to run here, and you're just talking. And because as the different opportunity presents itself every day, it's a new play, and that happens at the drop off, then it happens at the pickup, and then the after pickup when we're picking up from cheer, dropping off from cheer. And baseball season makes it even worse. So
there's laundry. There's all the. How many pantries do y'all have?
Well, sadly, only one. But I have packed that sucker full.
It's busting at the seams.
No, I got mine downstairs.
That's
you don't
true.
know about.
Okay, yeah, he's got his stash, I guess, down there.
Yeah. If I want to eat, I gotta hide the food.
Right? Yeah, they do. Those little kids. I'm telling you what, I have one little treat that I love so much. It's Reese's chocolate. The little Reese's cups, chocolate, amazing goodness with peanut butter. And he will get them for me, and I will hide them because the children will take them.
Oh, yeah.
And then they find them. They sniff it out. Drives me crazy.
Oh, yeah. Like my son's never says, "Oh, there's just a little bit left. Let me see if anybody else wants any." You know what I mean? No, he's going to take it all.
Take it.
He's just going to take it all. But it's all yours, buddy. You can have it. So there, carpool kids. That's an app. That's one. That's a gold nugget for me and my wife. I didn't know about that. She'll be like, "Oh yeah, I know about that." I didn't know about it.
It's great. It's really helpful.
Are there any other helpful tools for managing this? Because again, the best businesses in the world have the greatest processes. They can streamline the most. You know what I mean? Everybody loves Chick-fil-A's drive-through, right? Well, why is it so great? It's that they manage more cars than McDonald's, and half the time it's because they've got a better process in place. So anything can be done. I know the young guys over here are probably like, holy crap, they got how many kids? I can't even manage myself. I forgot to wash my own clothes, much less 6 other people. It happens.
Life 360 is a big deal where I can locate anybody at any time.
Hugely important, especially when they're riding with others, I think,
Yeah. And also parental enforcement is pretty important for that too. Wait a minute. Why has your phone been on the back porch, but it's really quiet on the back porch? We've had that happen.
Gotcha.
Left the phone there, snuck out the front door with a buddy.
Oh yeah.
So, and then the chats I don't know the chats, the chats, how to find them on the chats.
Oh yeah.
But I know Life 360.
Yeah. The world is a scary place, and it is our job to protect them and teach them. And so, I do let them have social media. I let them have Snapchat. I let them have TikTok. I know that maybe, not everybody's cup of tea, but my requirement is that I have it too. It's on my phone as well, and I have everybody's login.
That's right.
So I can check it at any time, and I do often. Sometimes for entertainment purposes, like my oldest daughter, she's 20, and I still have her Snapchat login. Every once in a while, I just hop in, and I'm like, "Ooh, look at what these girls are up to."
That's right.
But, I don't necessarily weigh in. She makes good choices. She's, we had that time, when she was in high school where we worked on those things, and I feel confident that she was ready to be sent out there.
Absolutely.
The Hit Streak is powered by our partners at HitLab Creative Studios. Whether it's launching your brand new podcast, rebranding your current podcast, or taking advantage of any of their other content packages specifically for your social media needs, the HitLab is a one-stop shop for you. Visit hitlabstudio.com for more.
I had a conversation with a dad the other day that's on Ethan's baseball team, and his son is 14, but mentally he's probably 16. So he's working on coming into his own, and he's wanting to go out on his own. He's wanting to do more things on his own, less time with parents, So, and I was talking to the dad, and he was a little bit torn up about it. And I was like, dude, he's like, he doesn't want me helping him as much with stuff and so on and so forth. I'm like, brother, I was like, we have kids on our team that rely on their parents for everything, and life's going to be hard for them, So like when a young boy wants to go out, when a child wants to go out on their own and start to take responsibility for their life, I'm like, that's a good thing, even though he's aiming it at you in the wrong way right now. Well, dude, flip it around on him. Encourage him to do that, because again, when Ethan moves out, I don't want him to come back. You know, I want him to go out. It's his life. I want him to have a great life, and I don't want him to start at 30 like I did. You know, I want him to do it before then.
Right. Well, my oldest daughter's done a lot of that too. I mean, she's working, unbelievable hours. I mean, she went to the salon school where she learned how to do all the things that she wanted to do on her own. And now she's working at the salon and learning how to do all the things on her own. And for a time, she was double tapping both of those. Where
She's the hardest working child.
It was incredible.
It's impressive.
She did it all on her own. It was all her own initiative. She was the one that decided that she wanted to go and do the salon world. And, you know, more power to her. And it's been incredible to watch her just sort of get that wind underneath her own wings and behind her own sails and take off in that direction. And, you know, we just sit back and go get haircuts and do what she tells us to do.
Well, and I'll say to that point in regards to, you know, just Grant's parenting. I mean, to me, it speaks to this. When I actually met the director of the salon where she works and where she worked while she was also going through the cosmetology school. And I told the director, I was, you know, she's actually just, you know, she was just another mom. And I said, I'm Ellie Martins, you know, I'm her stepmom. And, you know, so nice to meet you. And she said, I have got to tell you, she has the best work ethic. She said, that girl, she's never calling out. She's never late. She stays late when we need her to. She's just always, yes, I can do it. Yes, I'm there. And I think that's a reflection of what Grant's done.
Grant has a very unique way of making things that are complicated simple. And like his mindset coaching and stuff is incredible, dude. Like, he's on top of that stuff, and you can totally see it in the kids. Like, again, a lot of this stuff would be so overwhelming for so many. And you guys, you know, I believe he's the leader of the household, right? That's the faith that I grew up in. And like, dude, it echoes all the way down. You know, like, of course it's hard. Life's hard. You know, you got two ways to look at it, with joy or the other side.
Right.
But again, a lot of the problems that we have aren't truly that complicated, are they?
No, they're not. And I think that the capacity has increased. You know, you talk about Ellie. I mean, Ellie, to watch her develop into that has been nothing short of a miracle, because her level of freedom, you talk about being punctual. The punctuality and Ellie are on either sides of the earth at one point. But once she owned it and she took it over for herself, she learned the things that I kind of, you know, had to prod her, you know, lead her into that element. But once she got it, I mean, there was no questions asked. And now she hardly talks to me because she's so busy, and I have to be like, hey, now I'm just prodding her to get her to pay attention to me. I'm like, oh, I still want that goofy, I want that little cute little girl back that runs around everywhere in the tutu. And now she's gone. So yeah, I mean, I think that just understanding that you don't have a lot of time. You just don't have a lot of time. And so you can't worry yourself with all of the minors. You got to major in the majors.
That was a good one.
That was a good one.
That was a good one.
He's got a lot of good ones.
I know. Well, let's shift over to the work stuff just a little bit. Again, you guys have been kicking butt for quite some time. You're right. Grant was always out every time when in insurance space, when that was what I was doing every day, and I was always going out and meeting people. I always saw Grant out there. Like, he was always there. He's always there building relationships. You guys are the kings and queens of relationships. So as far as work goes, talk to me about the last 3 or 4 years. Like, it's been a lot of questions about the market. A couple years ago, we had everybody's refined. I know the word HELOC was not something that was spoken of too often until COVID came through and interest rates came through, and all of a sudden everybody had equity and so much they could do with to renovate and whatnot. What do you guys see? What's happening right now in the industry, Summer, and what are some things that you guys are excited about that you might forecast in the future?
Well, as he mentioned earlier about, you know, investment property stuff, I mean, when you look around you and you see that all your friends, all your family, all your, you know, colleagues, your main, you know, everybody you've worked with for years and years, they're all sitting at, you know, 2.75 for 30 years, and they're really happy about it. So you do have to get a little more creative. And I've noticed in our market, you know, we are seeing so much more investment property purchases, second home purchases. things that, because people, they're happy. They're happy with their home. They've got a great rate. They have a low, affordable payment, and they're still building equity because, especially where we are, we're still seeing, the market improve. These home values are continuing to still rise.
That's right.
And so why would they move?
Right.
So you have to get creative, and we look at all these other options for people and to, build that residual income for them by saying, hey, we can help you. We can help you get an investment property. We can help you. And then a lot of times I feel like it's people who haven't really thought that that's something that they would be able to do. They didn't see themselves as capable of doing that. Like, oh, I'm not a real estate investor. I'm just mom and dad. I just go to work, and I'm more simple than that. But it can be very simple.
I don't know many mortgage folks that are helping people build out their portfolios like that.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and a lot of the people who had the cash, for instance, self-employed borrowers, who could not get a loan during COVID,
Yes.
or anybody. There was a lot of people that could not take advantage of those rates because the COVID restrictions on Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and the mortgage business guidelines just totally set up. They had to sit on the sidelines and watch everybody else get 3% rates, and so now they have the opportunity to put that cash to work for them, and they're doing loans on investment properties where the investment property income is the income that we use regardless of their self-employed income or lack thereof.
Right.
So that's a big new wave in the mortgage business that is allowing people to buy those investment properties. But we do regular home buyers too that have W-2 income, and everybody in between. So,
well, so who would you say you guys are? Like, who? Obviously, when Rhea and I, if we're talking insurance, and a family of your size rolls up, and we can literally save them 5 figures a year and give them a better customer experience, and maybe even increase benefits in a lot of cases. That's something we get really excited about in the world of processing. When we find that business that's just getting crushed with hidden fees they didn't know that we were paying, and we can literally increase their payroll by 1 or 2 or even 3 salaries. That feels like that's a great feeling. You know what I mean? So who are some avatars? Who are you guys most excited to help right now based on how the market is? What about you? So I'm going to ask both of you guys the same question.
I feel like our answers might differ.
I know. That's exactly right.
That's why there's 2 of us.
That's right.
I think for me, I've really had a lot of fun recently with our self-employed borrowers. They are generally times family. Nashville, especially, I feel like we have a really, really strong, presence of entrepreneurs. And the entrepreneurs, they want to buy. They want to buy. And so many of them are still renting. And it's because they just keep being told no. And a lot of times we're finding out that that's simply because the person who's telling them no either doesn't have the programs, or they don't have the knowledge. And it's hard. It's hard work. It's extremely time consuming to do some of these programs for us on our end. And I think, you have a lot of guys who are like, well, I could just take an easier application. I'm turn that one away and I'll go make the same money doing something that's a little easier. But those people still need to be served. And so that's kind of where I think I get excited when I'm like, oh yeah, we can do this. We can make this work.
That's right.
Because there's more post-COVID, there are a lot more programs that are non-traditional.
Grant, what I heard was she likes a project.
I do.
That's what I heard. So you're a project. Well, who are you most excited to serve?
I like to bring in projects.
That's right.
I am definitely a project. I'm always under construction. The entrepreneurs, I've worked with entrepreneurs for years until I couldn't because there were just no programs for them. Because when Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac got bought out by the government, the government runs on taxes. So guess what? You're not going to get a loan if you're not paying taxes. And so finding that self-employed borrower who writes off and justifiably takes those tax deductions, but in so doing diminishes their income.
Yeah.
They have had trouble for a while getting loans until now. And those programs that are emerging in that secondary market have opened those coffers back up for us to be able to lend. And again, and I going back to the personal side, I mean, I have to be very careful with what I put on Summer on that front, because constantly selling her ability to do this and do this and do this and do this, you know, I want to make sure that she has a support team, and she does have a support team, and they're fantastic. Just a fantastic, I mean, and so, but her ability to understand those complicated tax returns and to be able to talk taxes with entrepreneurs and self-employed borrowers has been a huge weapon in our arsenal on the mortgage front. But I also enjoy the fact that I can go and again, talk to somebody who never even thought about buying an investment property.
Right.
And now you can go buy a beach house or an Airbnb or a VRBO that can make you $350,000 a year.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And, you know, just with the cash and the equity in the house that doubled last year, you can pull the equity out of the house, take it down to this one, put it down, and conceivably not even really spend a dime. Yeah. And you then create an income stream for your family. And, you know, to be able to provide that, and it's more or less an investment mechanism, although it is not an investment through us, it becomes an investment in their own families, and we love being able to facilitate that.
Absolutely. You know, Rhea and I learned that the hard way, you know, always writing off as much as you could write off. And then when when all of a sudden we got to a place where it was like, hey, we need to be buying more assets. We need to be diversifying our portfolio with assets. All of a sudden we found it's like, man, we make all this money, but we can't, nobody will loan us anything. Like it was, I wish somebody had told us that 2 years prior when we were, you know, it's crazy. You got to pay to play. And as a self-employed person, you're paying in taxes, like to show more income, because it's based on net, right? Based on what you're paying. So we made all this money, but then we took we wrote off as much as we could to show as least as we could. So we paid the least amount of taxes, which means that was great now, but later it hurt when we wanted something and we couldn't get it. You know what I mean?
And in terms of business, I mean, that's sort of what we talk about is how do we get out in front of that messaging, and with technology, we and the social media front, we can do that now on a greater scale than ever before. I mean, that's what we're doing here. I mean, with this facilitation and your invitation for us to come in here, we're now able to say, hey, you know, this is an app that we got that helps us learn how to play air traffic control on the mom front with, you know, now 5 kids that are driving around, or 4 that don't have rides. And this one needs to get picked up. And so the technology is what we're attempting to leverage to be able to put that in front of our borrower so that they can reference it and say, and study up a little bit on, hey, you know, I mean, because 2008, 9, 10, it was devastating talking to homeowners who wanted to refinance, who in 2007, 2006, 2005, it was a no-brainer. Yeah. Of course you can get refinanced because you had a pulse. I mean, even if you didn't have a pulse, it was all right. We'd be able to get you through. But now, you know, you can't. And these are people that had massive amounts of equity. They just wanted to refinance. And they couldn't. And, you know, it's good for us to be able to speak that and educate them because it changes lives. I mean, it changes the course. I mean, we've seen people get approved. I mean, Summer got a text the other day and worked tirelessly to get a business owner into a house, a ex-Marine, I believe. And I mean, this guy served our country, went to war for our country, and we owed, and she felt and took that burden upon herself to fight for him to go get a home loan. And he was absolutely super thankful and grateful. No doubt. But it was indeed a battle. I mean, I saw her. I mean, she cried. I didn't cry. I'm not crying. You're crying. But you know, it does hit close to home, no pun intended, with how impactful that can be. And so we're really honored to have that opportunity, because mortgages by themselves and the numbers are boring, but the calls and the purpose, the end that we're trying to accomplish is very much not boring.
Summer, you got anything you want to add to that? Because I feel like there's a lot of Summer's heart in there, and that and what he just said.
I'm trying to be like, yes, just go, let him go. That was good. Round of applause.
I think I got the sound effect over here.
No, I really don't. I mean, I think he's spot on. I will say, the only thing I could possibly add to that is, I have seen, we do have some scenarios right now that are top of mind for me where maybe it's a situation where, because a lot of these non-traditional programs for self-employed people, they are going to require that you have a decent, down payment. And not everybody does. And not all business owners are at a place in their business where they've, developed that yet.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of, you had a word for it one time, like an action plan, essentially, where, because to me, I'm like, why are we hiding, because the question is, what income qualifies and what income doesn't? And so when I look at the taxes, I can take one look and I'll tell you, this is going to be added back. This is going to be added back, meaning added back into your income, and this will qualify. So if you have these deductions, you're okay. If you don't have these deductions, I don't know, we got to work on it.
Right.
And why that's so secretive, I don't know. Like, why can't we just tell everybody what they should? If you want to have a mortgage in 2 years, if you're getting married, you guys are going to want to have children, on down the road that this is a goal for you and your family. Why would we not work together towards that now?
Right.
And so that's kind of been a big thing too. Is let's be transparent.
That's awesome. I couldn't have said it any better myself, man. That's so again, you're in the relationship business.
Very much so.
The Hitstreak is powered by Team Hyder. Team Hyder has been serving you for 11 years and has racked up over 20 national and local awards for excellence in all areas. When it comes to finding the right health plan, we need to consider your family's needs and your family's budget. That's what we do to serve you. To look further and to book an appointment, visit teamhyder.com.
Managing expectations. That's probably one of the biggest thing you guys have to do is people's expectations. I didn't have any. And the ones that I did have were wrong when I first started, when we bought our first home. We didn't know those programs for first-time home buyers. We didn't know that every time the market changed and on Capitol Hill, they make changes to an industry that all of a sudden the bank's going to roll out all these new products specifically to counter those things and to help out with those things. So like how often should somebody check in with you guys on a regular? Like, is it once a year, every couple of years based on industry changes these days, every 30 days based on industry changes these days?
Yeah. I mean, it just depends on what their objectives are. I mean, we're trying to get out in front of that so that we can leverage technology with social media and whatnot to get those messages across. In a lot of scenarios that we've been in, it's the compliance and the state and the federal regulations make it difficult to articulate the programs because you're afraid of, well, this might violate this or this might violate that. But it's the programs are the programs. And if you want to have that candid discussion, pick up the phone or reach out to us whenever that need or the thought arises. But in terms of that, we're trying to do a better job to get that information out and leverage technology to do it so that you can do it on your time. When we're not available. There's a lot of people in the mortgage business. The mortgage business is a very competitive industry. There's a lot of people out there trying to do it and do it well, and there are a lot of people that do it well. I've seen a lot of people in the business that do it well, and I've seen a lot of people in the business that do not.
Yeah.
And, the contradiction in messages, and I could go into the names, but it's very difficult to find somebody in life in anything, whether you're buying a wedding dress or sushi or getting a mortgage that you really trust. And
That's right.
that you can rely on that level of sincerity and integrity in the service, because we are in the service business. It is about expectations. It is about setting expectations, but in order to set expectations, you have to know what's coming.
That's right. And the storm that they're currently in will run out of rain. We all know that, right?
That's true.
We all know that. All right. So the biggest mistakes that you guys see over and over and over, right? So let's address that right now so you can help some folks out from making the ones that you see. They're not that most people aren't repeat offenders, but like the same offense keeps happening over and over and over again, right? What's the top three that you see, right? Who wants to go first?
Ladies first.
Oh, golly. Okay.
But you-
Well, I think the very first one that comes to mind for me is, well, buying a house is an emotional process, right? They, especially, and maybe not just females, I'm sure for males too as well, but I do see it more commonly in females that, we're in love. We're in love. We're in love with this house. We don't own this house. We want to own this house. And we're in love. We are envisioning what it's going to be like to raise our babies and grow old together. This is it, right? So what do you need? Oh, you got to have the perfect couch. You got to have a dining room table.
Yep.
And it's like, whoa, slow your roll. This is a business transaction. And, it's hard. It's hard to keep that separation there for people. They have to stay practical. They have to stay level-headed.
You got to pull the emotion out of it.
Yeah, you do. You have to be willing to walk away if it doesn't work. A lot of times it's because God is like, this isn't it right now. Hold on, something better is coming. So we got to trust that process. And a lot of times people want to force it. And so that is probably a big one. We've had some crazy ones. So really try to force it and force, if we just do this, or if you do this, can you call, no, at the end of the day, no.
Oh, it was the perfect house. I'm like, well, the builder made more.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I bet you'll see another one that is even more perfect. You just haven't met yet.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
I think that's one. And then I would say too, because they want the perfect couch and the perfect dining room, they're going to want to buy it. And they're going to want to buy it before we've closed. And even though we shout it from day one, hi, please don't do that. Don't take out new credit. Well, we bought it, but we bought it in my wife's name. Well, she's also on the loan. So now we're in a pickle. So I think that one seems to, people like to try to sneak that in. So I would say, don't do it. Just be patient.
Got it. So don't, until it's not finished, until it's finished.
Correct.
Got it. All right, Grant, what do you see out there?
What should people not do in the mortgage process? Let me count the ways.
Most common mistakes you see that just because we don't know. Nobody teaches us this stuff,
There are some interesting spins on this called thou shalt nots that are out there in the business industry that people use to help people prevent themselves from tripping up themselves. But, along those lines, Proverbs says to plow and plant your field before you build your house. And if you think about the wisdom in that order, it is indeed sage, because if you don't have your income right, the house, Robert Kiyosaki and Rich Dad Poor Dad talks about, whoa, house is not an asset. A house is a liability.
That's right.
If you continue to pay it, that is the definition of a liability. So it's very important that you get your income straight and you get your numbers right.
I love Kiyosaki.
Once again, you're counting the cost. Why are we building a house unless we counted the cost? What are the numbers behind it? Don't even go fall in love. Why are we kicking tires with no shoes on? I mean, you gotta have your money in, you gotta have your house in order before that occurs. Call us. If you don't even know where to start, just call us, or call any mortgage person to a degree. Look it up online. Just put the ball in play, and let's figure out how to get the numbers right before you start going out there and buying a house, because a lot of people do kick the can down the road on sharpening their pencil with the numbers, and then they wind up under contract, and then they realize you're not actually employed, you're 1099, which is not the same. Wait, what? And then it's just a whole different ballgame. And they put earnest money down. And so I think just the general thou shalt not is don't go to the store without your wallet, just any more than you would go and fall in love with a house without knowing what your own heart is.
That's right.
So.
That's right. Yeah, we were pulling all this credit stuff, and we were qualifying for our first one, and I didn't know. So I was like, I want to build out this next thing at the office, and I didn't understand that every time somebody was pulling credit or whatnot, it was affecting one that was already in process. So you just got to sometimes let those things play out.
Yeah.
Because it's a big decision. I mean, a lot of times, especially in this market, it's a 7-figure decision that somebody's making to float you for 30 years.
Well, and there's a timing to it too. Once you start that contract, the clock is ticking.
Yeah.
And so if you don't already know how long it's going to take you to run that many laps, your pace is gonna be off. And so that's the most critical piece that I have seen that really does make or break the enjoyment of the process. Now, do as I say, not as I do. But that's what I say.
That's right. All right. So before I get to the last two topics that I got to talk to you about, which are not mortgage related, is there any other nuggets as far as mortgage goes, the market today, or anything else? Which, by the way, guys, waltonfunding.com, that's your URL, right?
Yeah,
that's how they
us.
find you. On Instagram, on social, check out Summer at SummerMartin18, and Grant is at Grant L. Martin, right? Grant L. Martin. Awesome. So that's how they can keep up with you guys. And I know you guys are making plans to do a lot more on social to show more of your story as you rock and roll. But anything else mortgage related, or any final messages on that?
We've partnered with Walton Funding. We have a fantastic team there. We're really, it's not a large group, but it is a very, very powerful group of very experienced entrepreneurs, investors. The Walton Funding is located on 30A, right on Rosemary Beach. You walk right across the street to what I called it downtown Destin, even though it's not Destin. I just didn't know. And that area has a lot of meaning to me. I mean, I remember going down there when my daughter was born. I remember going down there on a really meaningful trip with my parents when my daughter was a little bit older, but my son was born. And then I remember going down there with my family after my mom passed away as just sort of a, let's get together trip. Yeah. And these guys are there. So, in that general theme, it's a very important area to me. It means a lot. Summer's family owns a condo down there in Fort Walton. So it's right next to, right in that same general area. So we're kind of coming and going. She's got her place and she loves the Henderson Park Inn. I usually call it the Hampton Inn, but they're both great. Just a little different in their own way. But we've got a lot of good opportunity with that company and with that team. And on the mortgage front, our goal is to get that education out there so that people know the things that we would have always wanted to know if we were in their shoes. Mm-hmm.
What about you, Summer? Any final nuggets as far as the industry goes?
I agree with that. I think getting that education out and researching, there's no reason why not, with today's, we have so much available to us, with the social media aspect and just Google in general and all the things that are out there, educating yourself on the process and being, going in prepared. I think that's a huge piece for us that we think is just so vital because it sets people up for success. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Final two things, and I'm going to combine them into one. So where in the heck do you get off not drinking caffeine every day? You know what I mean? Like, I got a beef with this. That's crazy. That is straight madness. And is that, seriously, what's the secret to, you guys look amazing. And I mean that, like, it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work to look like this. You know what I mean? Like, and that may not even be a compliment to myself, but there's a whole lot of artificial coloring.
You look good.
There's beard, there's coloring, and there's Botox, and there's all kinds of things that I'm doing on a regular. People ask me a lot, is that what's your skincare? I'm like, he goes by Botox Josh. He's fantastic. He's in Cool Springs. He's fantastic. He does a lot of great things. But what about you guys? How do you guys stay so young? Botox is my friend. Mm-hmm. I will admit, I love it. I am carefully walking that new journey here with, I'm like, wow, okay, all right. I'm not as young as I once was. And when I'm smiling, things are kind of staying. Yeah. Like I'm still smiling, but I'm not anymore. So, I got to realize that there's some things I can do to help that. So, it's kind of learning. I'm learning even so, what that looks like. But I think taking that time, even like no matter how tired I am, which I am, I usually, we have our schedule, we have our routine, and then
after I have put everybody to bed, we put all the kids to bed together, then I pack up lunches, and then I go back to my office, and he goes back to his office in the house, and we probably give it another hour to hour and a half to our day just to make sure that we got back to everybody we were supposed to get back to, that we checked all the things we need to check. And I am like so done by that time. And I'm like, you know what? I don't really want to wash my face right now. I just want to lay down. I want to watch a show. I want to veg. But, just staying intentional about it and being like, you know what? This is my one body. This is my one face. Yeah. So I've got to take care of it and got to make that time.
Gotcha. And the caffeine thing, like, does it work with you?
Yeah. So when it started, when I was pregnant, you're not supposed to drink caffeine. I know that there's like a thing that says you can, but you can't have more than X amounts. And I was not about to stop and measure that stuff out.
Right.
So I thought, I'm going to just be really uncomfortable for a couple weeks, and then I'll be fine. My life will be no different. And because I am in charge of how much energy I have and how I feel. And so for me, I had to get it out of there.
You can't win the war against the world if you can't win the war against your own mind, right?
That's exactly right.
All right, Grant, what about you, man? You stay in shape? Like, you got a lot going on for you. What's happening? I use Simpler. Do you use so it used to be just for men. It stains the skin real bad. Now it's Simpler because I'm blonde. It's ugly looking. It's blonde and there's white in it now.
That's what I need to do. I don't do anything for that. I will speak to the caffeine front. Summer doesn't need caffeine because she actually sleeps. Mm-hmm. And that is important to know, because when she goes to sleep, it's over.
Yeah. I think that somebody could be like, they could be having conversations. They could all be getting up. I have no knowledge. And
so she'll get up after 4 or 5 snoozes, and it is sometimes worse, but we'll say that that's
tell
on
all
average.
My secrets.
So not only when the alarm goes off, I'm up. When the dog's tail hits the washer, boing, in the middle of the night, I'm up. When the squirrel lands on the gutter, I'm up.
Yeah.
So I just, I'm kind of red alert on that front, and so I need a little bit more caffeine to get through the day. I sleep the same amount of hours, I guess, but I don't necessarily always do the sleeping. So that's my excuse for drinking caffeine and you not, just so you know.
That's fair. You are a very light sleeper. But I think you guys need to have like a part 2, and you need to bring Nick and you need to take him, because the secret to this gorgeous physique over here is he has made our basement. It's a full on gym. There's a batting cage area. There's, every workout.
It's a torture chamber
thing you could possibly ever need.
Yeah.
It's great.
A man cave.
He's built it out amazing. And he works out every day down there because it's a part of his day.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I did find myself, I've done the go to the gym thing. It was great. I like that because you kind of get away and you can, just kind of have you a little me time to get away. But I don't have me time to get away.
That's right.
So when I don't have me time to get away, then it's like, okay, it's 10 o'clock at night. I can't go to the gym unless you go to the anytime ones, but I just can't go to the gym. I don't have that kind of time. Even a 20-minute workout takes an hour because you got to go there and come back. So yeah, we have a little unfinished, or we had it was unfinished until I finished it out, but it's got I got all the things.
That's awesome.
And so, and my 16-year-old son, he and I started working out last year, and we were hitting the gym every morning at 6, and he was like, "Dad, can we come at 5:45?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Well, what time does summer's first 3 alarms go off again? So yeah, we started doing that, and again, iron sharpens iron, and so having those other people to come in and work out with you helps a lot. And so I try to keep people around. Like, I love to schedule group workouts if I can have the flexibility of my schedule to schedule it. And even in our offices in the past, I hung a pull-up bar in the IT closet, cut a hole in the door in the IT closet to hang one of those pull-up bars, and bought some dumbbells and put those in there, so that instead of going and drinking that 4th cup of coffee, 5th cup of coffee, I go in there and knock out some curls, or
that's right,
do some something to kind of get my blood flowing again, and then get right back at it. So, I'm not. I have done some more intense working out, but just the consistency is more important than the intensity sometimes.
That's it. Well, guys, this has been. You guys were awesome. I just want to say thank y'all so much for coming and hanging today.
Absolutely.
We appreciate very much you having us. It's been fun.
Yeah,
Absolutely, man.
The Hit Streak is powered by Rack Financial. When it comes to your credit card merchant processing, Rack Financial is efficient, reliable, and trusted. At the end of the day, when it comes to processing your credit card payments, they make it simple, the way it's supposed to be. Check out Rack Financial.
Folks, once again, we've got the dynamic duo, Grant and Summer Martin, senior mortgage loan originators at Walton Funding. You can check them out online at waltonfunding.com. Summer's online on social at Summer Martin 18, and Grant is at Grant L. Martin. Once again, guys, if I had to label you guys with one word, it would be one word, and that is selfless. Selfless. It's got to be selfless. That's the only thing that I can think of that even holds water. You know what I mean?
Well, thank you.
Thank you. That's very sweet.
Absolutely. Well, folks, I know you enjoyed the story today. Let me just go ahead and say you're welcome, right? So thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of The Hit Streak. I am your man, Nick Hyder. God bless.